morning. Okay, so my name is Muhammad Azidan bin Zakaria. So I am the project coordinator for PEREKA at Kuala Lumpur Design Festival. So we are welcoming to all our guests and all our panelists. So before we start, I would like to invite our president, Mr. Zafri Zakaria American from Persatuan PEREKA Perindustrian Malaysia to give some introduction about what is PEREKA Malaysia.
Assalamualaikum and good morning to everyone. I would like to firstly thank to our panelists, which Paul, basically when you decided to come, what I did is I texted, I don't think he will be here. Maybe you have somebody more important to do rather than being in our very small event. So thank you very much to all our panelists. So I don't want to, because I don't want to waste time talking, because I'll let you guys talk more. So basically, PEREKA is the Industrial Design Association. So we are doing, for this team, we wanted our designers to have more knowledge in ESG, in circular economy. All right. So without wasting time, I will pass this to Shakila, right? Okay, you could take over, Shakila, please. Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the CBASS and PEREKA panel session. So let me just introduce myself. I'm Shakila. I am the secretary of CBASS, also known as the Circular Business Association for Malaysia. Actually, it's a global association. We started about a year ago, and we joined a collaboration with PEREKA to bring together design as well as circular business. So Circular Business Association, what is it? What is our mission in life? What we actually want to do is to bring together the ecosystem to help businesses across the circularity, for want of another word, ecosystem, and to build and to understand how you can make profitable business, but also contribute towards climate targets, climate change, and sustainability and sustainable supply chains. So I am going to introduce let a video introduce our association a little bit more. So some words from the chairman. If you don't mind, can you play the first video?
How would you like to make a part of $1 trillion and be saving billions of people and the planet alike? How would you like to be someone who fundamentally changed how people live their lives and make a living on a day-to-day basis while solving the greatest challenge of our generation, even when they may not even understand or care about it? Thank you. I'm so glad you're here with us in this forum today, because as designers, you are in a position to make these two questions a reality. Hello everyone, my name is Lee Jin Chin and I'm the chairperson of Circular Business Association. Now, a lot of people believe that it's the consumers who have the ultimate say in terms of whether to get something sustainable or not. But if we really think about it, there are a lot of decisions that's already been made for the consumers before they even touch or use a product. At the end of the day, consumers are looking for the performance that these products give to them. But how these products are delivered to them, distributed, how it's made, the choices of materials, the processes that goes into it, the service provision, all of that actually is out of the consumer's hands. And this is why design plays such an important role in terms of creating the pace and scale to solve the climate crisis and the sustainability challenge, because you don't actually need to understand all of these decisions in order to be part of that change. And let me give you another layer of perspective. Design is actually at this point whereby it either commits businesses to become the businesses we see in the future, or it condemns them to be the businesses that we would say goodbye to within the decade. Just look at some of the major trends that's happening globally. Regulatory and trade restrictions are growing. A good example is what we can see that's happening in Europe with the carbon border adjustment mechanism. Companies who import goods from overseas into Europe will basically need to demonstrate how much of those products have carbon embedded in them, and to demonstrate how those products actually can fit into the circular economy design, be it as something that can return back into the nature safely, or something that can continue to circulate through reuse, repair, manufacturing, etc., in order to continue to deliver performance to the economy. Now, a lot of companies actually don't realize this yet, but as suppliers based overseas, those businesses can actually still be impacted by this regulation done in Europe, because if your product is actually something that's highly carbon intensive, then you're probably going to be subjected to a lot of carbon taxes. And as designers who are creating those products that will be used by these businesses in their trade, essentially you are either a booster button or a breakdown button for these businesses. Because if you are not aware about how much liabilities and exposures to carbon tax that you are committing these companies to, then you're essentially pushing them into the deep end. Another interesting development that's happening worldwide is also this backlash in terms of green claims. Europe is moving in the direction of the Green Claims Directive, but we're also seeing similar things happening in China, whereby substantiating what you do in this environmentally friendly or climate neutral, net zero, green sort of realm is increasingly being scrutinized. And it's not only happening in terms of regulators, but more importantly, it's happening among investors and also the valuations of companies. So if you are the product designers of which these companies have their products, and you are unaware about these trends, again, you are committing these companies into potentially walking into a greenwashing situation, into potentially investing a lot of money because it's just so hard to actually track the materials or the whole product itself, and therefore make reporting very difficult and costly. You're also committing these companies to actually not get into this next $1 trillion business and therefore potentially be unable to sustain the livelihoods of all their employees. So designers, which is right at the beginning of the upstream, you actually have a lot of leeway in a way to exercise your creativity and ingenuity to ensure that all of these decisions are built in, even when perhaps your client doesn't fully understand the impact of it. So as designers, the impact that you have is not only in terms of how the consumers would actually be utilizing those products, as well as the impact that's built in for all these consumers as individuals or businesses, but the impact also comes in terms of how well those businesses would use your product as their basis to trade. Not only would you be exposing them to things like fines, carbon levies, taxes, whether they meet regulatory demands and disclosure, whether or not they meet the investors and financiers' scrutiny and appetite and risk, all of these actually come back to the upstream, which is in design. And I'm very hopeful because the circular economy concept and framework does actually push a lot of emphasis upstream into having this intention to making sure that every economic activity we build in and therefore the designs that's necessary to create this regenerative and restorative economy is actually put in place, even when most people as consumers may not understand or care about it. At Circular Business Association, why we put the emphasis to make sure that these good businesses that actually are creating the products that can be sustainable and be regenerative and restorative is because businesses are also the ones that impact directly how each of us make our living. If we can impact people at the very basis of their livelihoods, then the pace and scale of climate action and sustainability action can be accelerated by so much more. So we've put together a very interesting panel today. I'm very honored to have all of them join us in our forum to discuss the role of design. Is it a breakdown or booster button for businesses in this era of sustainability and climate? I look forward to seeing the fruitful discussion that we have ahead, and I wish you a great day.
Okay, I just wanted to also mention that Lee Jin, our chairperson, is actually based in London, so she's not able to make it here today, but she wanted to contribute her thoughts as well and to explain a little bit more about what CBASS does. Without further ado, let me introduce our esteemed panel of guests. So we have with us Mr. Paul Scanlan, former CTO of Huawei. Everyone knows Huawei, but he's here today very kindly to talk about ZPrime, or ZPrime as Americans say it, that introduces the concept of AI, using AI in technologies such as waste management, water management, and especially energy management, which that all contributes to the circularity concept as well. Next to him is Mr. Foo. He would like to be introduced as a recycling engineer, which is a fantastic way to describe someone who puts into action traceability and circularity into technology and data as well. So he'll be talking a little bit more about how data contributes to the concept of circularity. And next to him, we have Mr. Harith, also known as Harith Green Carpenter. That's a great title for you. I believe that you have had a family business in eco-friendly wood products. The factory that you run already has won up to numerous awards. So 2018 Good Design Award, the 2019 MTCC Sustainability Award for product in diversification. That's something that we all need to think about in terms of designing and diversifying our businesses. And also next to him is Mr. Walter, similar business. But you are thinking about redesigning wood products, and I believe you also have a manufacturing factory in China. So we will talk a little bit about how these businesses actually contribute towards the whole circular business ecosystem and the supply chain. And right at the end is Sheikh Fairuz, who will be giving us a little demonstration of a product from MAEKO. MAEKO is a food waste recycling system. So please stay on for the later part of the session. We'll be getting a little demonstration on how these types of circular products actually are put into action. So we'll go right into our first question. Sorry. How do designers contribute towards circularity? Why should they be paying attention to the trends of circular economy? These are words that have come up very recently, not very recently, but they've sort of come to the forefront of business now because of climate targets, the need to achieve net zero, decarbonization. These are all words that have come to the forefront of running businesses. So how does design actually, designers need to be paying attention to these trends? Maybe Mr. Foo, can you share a little bit about what's happening in enabling the circular economy through technology and through traceability?
Good morning, everybody. Certainly it's a pleasure to be here today. And when I got invited to present in this forum, I made it a point to rush back from Singapore overnight and be here this morning because this is a topic that's close to my heart. Ever since the COVID started, a lot of things went out of whack, especially manufacturing of gloves. So when I walked into the factory, I looked at it, I was amazed how unfriendly environmentally it is. And my friend in the United States says, we got huge order for gloves can you get me machines from Malaysia that will ship to United States and make gloves there? And when I look at the machines that we made and used in Malaysia, I said, no. As an engineer, I can. I'm a retired engineer, so I'm a recycle engineer. Okay, so I'll come back to action when I see things that are not done from the basic principles of engineering. All right? So I gave my thoughts to the machine makers, and none of them will take on my idea, because everybody is paying a lot of money, plus there are a lot of people having pre-orders that they're not going to take any new experimental ideas and so on. And actually, I was lucky enough to meet with a local retired architect who was in designing of machine as well, from architecture, and he was designing new production method for glass. So to combine the two of us together, we actually create a new machine that is very small, plus do not use the acid, plus do not use the big oven to cure the glass. Now, this is putting the first principle engineering back into action to create environment-friendly products that we can use. Now, in all that claims that people had and read all over the place about how much they contribute to the green and all that, the question I ask is, where do you get the data from to substantiate the claim? Then you say, oh, we have this sensor here, this sensor there, all that. Okay, can you trust the data you collect from sensors? Can you? How do you know the sensors is from your machine or next door factory? How do you know? There is no structure of data collection, no structure of data transmission, no structure of data storage and addressing the data. Therefore, my good friend here will have difficulty analyzing the data because all the way you garbage in, garbage out. So first we must look at the design of the data infrastructure. Right? Luckily, there is an initiative called RF 4.0 that looks at some part of it from the manufacturing perspective. That is started in Germany, right? And so I got together with the professors that are involved in that, and we start to format the data from the design perspective, and also, more importantly, addressability of the data, so that when they call the data, it's addressable from anywhere in the world. Now, these are all part of the design infrastructure that we, from the engineering perspective, are putting all the effort so that you guys, the whole ecosystem, can use it to make sense of data, and when you make the claim that we will talk about later, it makes sense, okay? We can trust the claim. Right now, you can't really trust the claim.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we're talking about. So how technology and design, with marrying with technology, can be put together so that actually it comes down to the consumer as well, what they are expecting, and we make sure that our standards are correct before we even want to report. Maybe, Mr. Paul, you can elaborate a little bit on how, as like an analytics of data, and how that design, that thought into design, can contribute to verifying things like it that's in the infrastructure.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you. Buenos dias, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm Paul, yes, and as you said, for 15 years I was the CTO of Huawei, so I'm a very trusted person in this Chinese company. And a lot of you may have read a lot of things, and I'm not Chinese. I was the only non-Chinese president in the company. I'm respected by the board. I built, actually here in Malaysia, I built the Telecom Malaysia broadband network. It's the first thing I did in 2009, so the high-speed broadband network here. In Spain with Telefonica and even Vodafone. Everybody in the world knows that that's what I do. I build these networks. So your 4G network here, I would have built your 5G network, but politics got in the road, yes? We still have some business in other countries, which I'm not allowed to talk about. But, so I've done a lot of different things, but I'll share with you just two key stories, because the lady who started from CBASS, the first thing she said was, would you like to make $1 trillion? More or less that's what she's saying, right? So really follow money. It's very important. Data, follow the money.
Yeah, it's $1 trillion business. $1
trillion business. And I'll tell you, I've just done an analysis just of 2 countries in Europe, and just in 2 countries it's $1 trillion. Just 2 countries, right? So here's some challenges that we have, and here are some ideas and stories. So first of all, I'll start with some Huawei ones, and then I'll move towards some of the ZPrime or other examples of what you could do in industries to try and help things along. So the first one is, I just finished a program 2 weeks ago where we spent $2 and a bit billion US. Yes, so Huawei spends $25 billion a year on R&D. 25. Put that in perspective, yes? 2 of those billion I have spent on re-engineering our software. And I say, what does that really mean? Well, we rewrote about 800 million lines of software. Yes? And why would we do those things? We do those things because, as you've mentioned about efficiency, everything's about efficiency. Everything you've heard about 5G is only about efficiency. Okay, it's only about efficiency. If we wanted to save a nuclear power station here in Malaysia, or a coal-fired power station in Malaysia, or in Germany or in Spain, you would remove 2, 3 and 4G and you would only have 5G. It is that much efficient. But the politicians don't know that, and the environmentalists don't know that, so we have a different story. So information is very important, and accurate information is important. And the internet is full of dis and misinformation. So why would we want to rewrite code? Because you're a software developer, you wrote a module, he's a software developer, he wrote a module, along comes a customer and says, he said, you're a customer, I would like this please. Oh, I've got most of that here. Can you add a module please? He adds a module. Oh, but it still had this module, it was 90% there, but we didn't know. So suddenly this software becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and does not become very efficient. Every instruction line in software translates to consuming energy. So it's very important to understand, right down here, you're talking about design. Before we started on the design of the furniture, the idea is, how did we do it? You have to start, because the word circular is very complicated, and to measure it becomes even more complicated. So here's an example of a company that pays attention to the software and how many instructions, so that the hardware engineer can also have targets of at least 10% less energy per product per year. You didn't know that about Huawei, right? You didn't know. That's what the company does. Okay? So then we come down to, I'll pick it up at the end there, you said how to measure things, yes? And that becomes very difficult. And just here you heard her talk about standards. So the International Standards Organization, ISO, there are 2 key standards. One is the 14,000 series, which relates to sustainability and greenhouse gases. And if you look at the business of that, it's $40 to $50 billion a year in advisory. That means company will come and measure, basically checklist of what do you do, how do you do it, and give you an ESG score. All right? And you pay somewhere between $175,000 and $500,000 per year for that privilege. Yeah? The words from the industry say that the confidence they have that the ESG number is real, correct, valuable, or correctly reflects my business, plus or minus, positively or negatively, is very low. And we have moderate confidence in the accuracy at all. All right, that's $50 billion worth of business talking about these things. So if you're not measuring it or you have no confidence in it, how can we improve? This is the sustainability bit. So the EU, or the ISO, together with, driven by the EU, developed another ISO standard called 59,000, so 59.0 something. So 59.20.020 will be ratified at the end of the year. And that means companies will now need to demonstrate, measure this thing called circularity. Well, what is it, right? Yeah. And now, does it require AI? Let's have a think about a few components. But now I'd like to move away from what I did in Huawei with all the innovation and things, and to companies like ZPrime, which I advise in UK and Germany. And we've done things with Aqualia in Spain. So Aqualia is a huge water and waste management corporation. Severn Trent, Anglia, Thames Water, I think you know these companies out of the UK, yes? So we have a bunch of research scientists working from universities like Brunel University and Imperial College of London, and they research for the last 15 years predominantly in waste and water management and AI, and how to apply AI in this thing called water. So we collect the water. We hope that the chemicals we're going to put into the dam to clean the water, or after we've used the water, how much of it was put back in, primary, secondary, tertiary treatments, how many phosphates, how many other process emissions will be produced. But then it rains. In fact, it rained 3 days earlier and we thought, and there was a lot more rain, and suddenly the volume of water from runoff and or direct precipitation, or including the materials we're putting in to try and clean the water, has changed. And now we find the process emissions are different, and now we find what we're consuming, if we're reusing this water in any fashion, or it's used for agriculture, etc., is polluted. Or we can't handle the volume of the water, and we deal with it in the way we all like, which is just throw it in the drain. All right. So this is a component of circularity. The first one is standardization. Now, if you're a manufacturing company, and we've tested this with manufacturers, and I've talked about predictive maintenance and quality in manufacturing, because that's worth $150 billion a year just to fix that problem. But suddenly when I spoke to the CEO, he said, Paul, what's this circularity you're doing? And I said, I explained, we can do it in any single industry, including manufacturing. So we could take the 50 different machines, energy coming in, waste coming out, components, consumables, track and traceability. And he said, I want that. I said, why do you want that? He said, because I can put a score on my product, and because I'm a Malaysian manufacturing selling into Europe predominantly, I can now claim I'm circular, and I can measure it, and I can demonstrate it. And now that whole supply chain can be done. And why Foo and I have been talking is because his company does design work for many components in factories or separately, and we're part of, an ecosystem. So this is why Paul is passionate about taking my sort of 45 years in business and the last 15 in this $100 billion enterprise and pouring it into this business, because I got a young family, I want to live forever, and I'd like to see them live forever. So there's only one way to do that, and we have to start here.
That's fantastically put. I wanted to pick up a little bit on what you mentioned about measuring. I used to come from the sustainability consulting, the 50 billion industry that you talked about. And we have this saying that you can't manage what you can't measure, and what you can manage, you can profit from. So, and you can understand your profits. So I like to take it back to, you mentioned in manufacturing and following these trends and all that. So I see, Mr. Walter, you were nodding away and you were saying like, yeah, definitely what Paul said really resonates with you. So I'd like to just ask you a little bit about an example of your business and how you are putting these circularity and elements into manufacturing, and also it's just good business, because then your products can be sold to a market where that's asking for these types of standards.
It's actually not easy to change. Okay, it's actually we used to do this kind of manufacturing without thinking what caused this after effect, because everything you do, you have after effects. Okay, so the mindset have to change. I only change the factory and manufacturing, I call it habits, to become circular. It's about 12 years ago. Because in China, the government, when they say change, they change. Okay? Because of the difference of the politics. Okay? Because in the factory where I came from, a small city in Guangdong province called Foshan, if the government come to seal your factories, they seal your factory and they're out of work. Okay? They are very serious. They don't talk about democratic, please appeal, no appeal. They just seal with what we call the paper closet. Then you're out of work. Factory cannot operate anymore. They're damn serious about it. So then your mindset have to change. Okay? When you design and when you produce, you have to think, what this product will end to, okay? What will cause this after effect? So everything that you do, you produce, okay? Try to minimize it into the landfill, okay? So you have to think, materials that you buy can be reused again, can be circular again, can be made again. So slowly, the manufacturing and the designer, very important. When they start to design, they have to think out, hey, this thing, where will you end? Where will it end up? So think first. So designer play a very important role here. Think. First thing you think, the material has to be reused and recycled, not what we call linear materials. Okay, not one line. After that, you throw away. So I actually don't like you. I cannot mention names. We call it dollar store. When you go to everything, go to the very, oh, very cheap. Okay, all plastic you buy. Oh, very nice. Okay, first you clutter your house. Your house a lot of stuff. Okay, wow, you go to orders. I cannot mention name again. Wow, very nice T-shirt. Wow, very cheap. And then you buy, and then you clutter your house again. But you know, you end up how many dresses that you dress every day? It's only that maybe 5, 6. Then you have all those dress that is so cheap, but you never wear. Don't you clutter your house? Okay. So I mainly speak about the what we call the grassroots. Okay, or the Malaysian call it mahin. Okay. So you have to think as a designer, as a human being. Okay. And we are the human is the only choice. Is the only chance. Okay, to make this world a better place. You cannot talk to your pet. You cannot talk to your dog about circularity and CE. No, it's only human that can understand this. Okay, we are the only chance to save our Mother Earth, our mother. Only one mother in there. We can't go to Mars yet. We can't go to the moon yet. So we have to think. So going back to the cause and effect, everything you do, we must think. Again, because I'm going to Europe next month. Okay, try to get some good order. So before I get good order, I have to go there and feel what are their habit, what are they doing. Okay, because I'm meeting some friends and some customer over there. What are they doing? What do they want? Because for me, Europe is actually a market mewah, luxury market. Okay, they can pay higher price, but they want good quality stuff. So buy good quality stuff. Don't buy cheap stuff. And after you buy and then broke down and throw away, then you cause what we call the landfill again. Another hill of what we call landfill. So everything that you do now, think, what caused this after effect? What caused this after effect? Think, very important. As a designer, as a human being, think, change your habit, change your mindset, okay? Don't set your mind, change your mind. So think out. And then if you do all this thing right, I think the circular economy now right, then when you do things right, the money will come. Okay, that's what I think. Okay.
I love that concept that it actually change starts with you, and I'd like to bring it because I'm looking at our panel, and I realize some of the younger members haven't had a chance to speak yet. So Mr. Harith, as someone who thinks about green and comes from, dare I say it, a younger generation, where things like green, circularity, sustainability are not words that are unfamiliar with you. You basically grew up with it. So I would like to just get your thoughts on how you're incorporating all this change of mindset into a business already, because I understand you took over a family business, and how you incorporate that. And you're also one of the Green Design Association members. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit about where it comes from a generation maybe that's already got all this already. They don't have to change. Basically, you're already incorporated into your mindset.
How old do you think I am?
I don't know, in your 30s, early 30s.
I'm 38. So
wow, okay,
not that young.
still the youngest.
Okay, I think to answer that, I think for the benefit of everyone, I'm just going to share a little bit about my journey. So my family owns a furniture manufacturing business, founded in 1993. So during school holidays, people go to holiday, I have to work. So it wasn't really fun for me at that time. But I was exposed to it at a very early age, I grew up in the industry. So after I finished my study, I came back to Malaysia and I joined the family business and I delved deeper into the industry. What I found is Malaysia is one of the largest exporter of wood products in the world. So our industry is very, very strong. And but after a few years of being in it, I saw there's a lot of unsustainable practices in the industry. So we don't care where the material comes from, as long as it's cheap, meet the standard, then we use. And other than that, it's all about mass production and profit maximizing. So the final straw was in 2012 when I came across the statistic that Malaysia has the highest rate of deforestation in the world. And that was like a hit to me because my business deals directly with forestry. So I decided if I want to continue the business, I want it to be in a more sustainable way. So what we did was we took the circular approach and put it in the middle of the company. So we put sustainability right at the heart of the company. And we look at all the process, not just the material, the glue that we use, the coating, the packaging, the design, the processes, and we try to make each process greener. And the process is ever going. So until now, we keep on doing that. So we've been doing, we've been in the sustainable wood space for more than 11 years. We have exported to more than 20 countries. We work with brands such as Coca-Cola, Rolls-Royce, Ferrari. And right now our factory is Ampang, is a research and design factory. So we create hundreds of designs and thousands of products every year. And what I'm doing right now is I'm picking up activism, because what I'm seeing is there's a lot of misconception about sustainability in the business world. A lot of it, when we talk about sustainable business, is always about solar panels, expensive machines, expensive material. But actually, you can do a lot more at a lot lower cost and higher impact. So right now, what I also want to share, because today is about design and business, right? So we need to start thinking design not just about products. It's about the processes, designing the processes, designing the business model, designing an experience and all that. So we need to have those conversations rather than just aesthetic when you talk about design. And just to share with you the impact. When I started the business, people don't really buy my stuff because people don't really understand or care. Like I use a lot of recycled wood as well, and people say, is it clean enough? Is it strong enough? And those kind of things. So it was difficult at first, but I still continue because I saw that the future, people will want sustainable stuff and all that. And now we are at this point of time. My green product revenue sales last year have increased by 6 times. And right now our issue is not sales. Our issue is capacity. So right now we are also fundraising to increase our capacity and all that. But this is just to show that it's here. Sustainability is here, circularity is here, and we need to take action, and we need to take advantage of the opportunity. And for my generation, I think, and also younger, it's easier to convince them. But what I see problem is more on the slightly older generation, but it's starting to change now, so that's good to see.
Thank you for that. I like to hear that it's across industries, across, I would say, generational, and across the different functions of business, that once you start thinking about circularity, we need to start understanding that circularity also equals to future profits, because it is the next trillion-dollar business. In the interest of time, we would like to take a couple of questions from the floor. So anyone would like to ask a question?
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation of this. It's very difficult sometimes to take people who knows exactly what they are talking about on a practical terms. And as far as this circularity and so on, that they do not belong to lobbies. Because we see sometimes lobby one, it's a good opportunity. Thank you very much. I have learned a lot. I have only two questions. First, the role of the design, because we are speaking design. For a customer point of view, consumer point of view, I think it's very important, the design, very, very important. We cannot underestimate, on the contrary. Because in order to foster people to change habits and so on, to have good design that foster people to do that, it's essential in my view. The same happens when you buy things. I mean, I must confess, I last year, I bought my first bath clothes made on plastic recycle, etc., etc. Why did I buy it? Knowing that, for instance, that it gets wet more time or slower than other, because of the design. The design was very good. The design was very good. And so I think design is essential on that. What do you think about that? Second is just a question, we have not spoken or only a bit about plastic. Huh? What do you think about plastic? In Europe we have a crusade against plastic. And so it is, in my view, perhaps it's your opinion. I ask for your opinion, because plastic have changed our life. Plastic have left our life in the 2nd century. And so in some sectors, for instance, in food, they will still be needed, and in other parts. On top of design too, that change to habit. Another very individual example. In Europe now, that is forbidden, but anyway, if you try to buy plastic straws, you are taking like a criminal. Believe me. So, and you can only take, well, now, all over the world, this paper straw. That, as we are used to other kind of consumption, I would say to you that for me it's disgusting. It's disgusting because I'm used to plastic contact with the lips and not to paper contact with the lips. So what has been in my election as a customer, I have decided not to buy any more straws, because I don't like paper straws. I think it's good too in another way to change habits, because at the end of the day, straws are not necessary to drink. No? But anyway, we just these two questions: the role of design and your opinion on plastic. Thank you very much.
Okay, so who would like to take the question? Let me just reiterate the two questions. So one would be the role of design. I think what the gentleman kind of alluded to was design still has to be eye-catching to the customer. It needs to, the aesthetics still need to be there to drive a customer to buy into your product. And the second question was what are the panel's thoughts on plastic, and how can we eradicate plastic from our supply chains, I would say. Who would like?
That's a good question, I feel same way about plastic as you feel. Worse still, when I see the process of them making the plastic product, I get even more worried of the environment, because the process of making plastic itself is quite harmful environmentally. Okay, so that's why I started with the incident when I saw the machines making the plastic. I decided not even to buy a single machine for my friend in US, even they want to buy 100 of it. It's good money, but I refused to do it, and start my journey of redesigning the process, redesigning the content of the plastic, how we make the plastic, so that the new process can make a better glove, cheaper glove, with higher reliability. There's only one, right? So nobody believed when I started the journey that can be done. Impossible. Every factory you go is a huge, big monster. The result of the factory, the machine that we built, cost one-tenth of the big machines, in fact less. The chemical content, I went to all the big suppliers of the resins to make plastics. None of them want to reconstruct the compound structure to meet what I want the result to be. And Malaysia is good. Malaysia, we have our own petrochemical production, Petronas, right? So I went straight to Petronas. I said, I want this. They said, "Full, no problem. Let's do a design project." We create a different compound that's much safer for the environment. Okay, so they're starting, like you say, from the source, right? And with that compound, I don't need the heat anymore, the big oven anymore, where you spend a lot of energy curing the rubber, right? There's a huge consumption of energy there, right? I cut that off. So in many aspects, that new machine that we design, but nobody in Malaysia want to buy it. Right? Why? Because not proven, not certified by Institute of Engineers, not because I'm a retired engineer, so I need someone with the certified engineers to come and look at the machines and evaluate the engineering aspect of it. And none of the current manufacturers want to shift from the current investment. They have not collected back the money from the investment. They invested a lot of money. They're not going to tell the public, hey, look, this will be right off, right? So because they're listed companies. So there are many factors that stops the adoption of a new idea, new machines. So this is another challenge that I think we face. But nevertheless, we should never lose the courage to design. Right? So right now, that machines is adopted by a Swedish company who will make the machines and go out to the world. So this is the kind of journey a new designers will have. We will have the starting point, first thing, the need to design. Secondly, the courage to do it, right? So if you don't take the courage to do it, it will never happen. So I encourage everyone out there, take on the same spirit, right, to look at the design side first and have the courage to do it.
I'll give a quick 2 minutes and then we can take other questions, but I'll just follow on the plastics part. So there are two very interesting things. I was in Dubai quite a lot, yes, on the way, Malaysia, Dubai, UK, right? It's a convenient way to travel. And you know, in Dubai they held the World Expo, yes? So there were, I can't remember how many countries precisely, but I visited 8 times, so 8 days, because I was there a lot and there was a bit of COVID and you couldn't really travel, but you know, if you were game, you could go to the expo, and it was empty, there was nobody there, it was fantastic. And there's one particular country that stood out about it above every other country, and that was Campus Germany. Not Germany, Campus Germany. So when you're queuing up there, they were introducing the way Germany takes education to industrialize this talent in the country. Very interesting, and the concept of the Mittelstand and things. What impressed me was that everything was based on circularity and sustainability. That was the first thing. Other countries said it, but here they gave some examples that stood out. And one of them was 5 building materials that were alternatives to concrete. Yes? And His Excellency in Oman was asking, how do I make Oman sustainable, smart city? And I said, well, don't use concrete. That would be a very good way to start. But nobody will do that because the design issues, the certification, there's a lot of problems. But in plastic, so plastic and mushrooms were 2 that stood out. The first one is, I'll mention plastic specifically because it is possible to recycle plastics and to use it for constructing this building. It's available, it's off the shelf, it's as good as, but why people will not do it? It's complicated, right? You have to come down to where's the money. Follow the money, you'll understand why certification, other things can or can't happen. It's unfortunate, that's how the world works. Mushrooms. Downstairs I saw a great company down there using mushrooms to manufacture things. Mushrooms another alternative, right? You can eat them, you can do this. Yep. A bad news story. I live here in Montclair, and for those of you who have gone down there near the plaza there, you'll see this is a nice little shop. I'm going to mention it. I won't mention the name because I don't think that's right. But if you go there, you'll see it. Beautiful. I love coffee, not just wine. I love coffee. And so there's a beautiful place, very well marketed. Let me buy the coffee. Heavy duty plastic bag, heavy duty plastic cup, heavy duty plastic top, heavy duty plastic thing, heavy duty plastic straw wrapped in a heavy duty, I say heavy duty, this is not, the environmentally friendly stick. There was plastic everywhere. I bought it once, I will never go there again. And anybody who would like, I recommend that you don't do that. And yes, maybe I'm going to boycott them, but it's a principle. Yeah. So the third part about plastics. There are good enzymes. There are enzymes. There's a lot of research now where you can use enzymes to break down plastic. So yes, plastic's a bad news story. It doesn't have to be a bad news story. I agree with you in terms of the manufacturing components, and petrochemical companies need to understand that. But if you were to buy a product and you saw the number, and this is $1, and this is $5, that will influence your thinking. And today, coming back to this measurement problem, if we could give scores that linked to financial components, then we can have a different outcome, because then the consumer directly understands that. Yeah? And of course, that all comes back down to design and components. But I'll just point a couple of components of plastics, because I'm a bit like you. I try to avoid plastic. Cotton, you're mentioning about cotton, right? I buy bamboo-based shirts from Cambodia. Fantastic, right? Cotton devastates the world's water resources. You know, that's why we're so involved in water resources. Just give a couple of comments.
Thank you for that. There was also the second part to that question about aesthetics. So I'd like to ask a little bit. I think we're running out of time, but just to follow on maybe to the two gentlemen that have created products. How does the role of aesthetics as well play into profitability of products?
Okay, now tell you the real story, because I think before COVID, I think about 15 years ago, okay, in China, there's a very famous product called WPC, wood plastic composite. Okay, I went to the factory north of Guangzhou. Okay, they say all their plastic is like recycle, all this thing. Then I'm always a curious guy. I would go to visit the factory, say, hey, my plastic is recycled. Then I try to sneak in to the warehouse that they store their plastic, but they buy all this plastic from Lotte. It's not recycled. Okay, they buy maybe from Samsung Staron. It's not recycled. They told me they got this all plastic from the airport, and then they recycle it. Then I don't see any empty bottle. It's all, sorry, it's called bull sugar. Okay, cannot use the shit word here. Okay, so then I abandoned this kind of wood plastic composite thing. So then why this factory lie on this? Okay, why this? But we always now our mind is actually treat plastic as an enemy. But for me, it's not enemy. You have to study the so-called enemy, because after that I go and study. There's actually 7 types of common plastic. There's PET, there's LDPE, there's PVC, they have PP, because I also buy a lot of plastic furniture, PP, okay, called polyprod, okay, PP, okay. So you actually have to think, okay, as a manufacturer, okay, you have to think what you produce, will it help this earth or not? You have to think carefully, okay? Then, because I have partners in the factories, he don't care about what you produce, okay? We always have a small fight, okay? Everything that I do, I fabricate, it has to be sustainable at least, not circular. Because circular is actually tough. You have to bring back and fix. We only can do it maybe in this country, not overseas, because shipping bags is not sustainable, okay? So we have to think as a manufacturer, okay? You have to think, will this thing help this earth or destroy this earth, okay? So there is actually a so-called conflict between the partners in the factory. But slowly, because in Europe, okay, the EUDR thing, okay? Because for me, again, I must say, Europe is actually a luxury market, okay? Because I don't have to do America, because America don't care. I think they want to buy cheap, okay? They don't care about environment. Sorry, American. So slowly, the mindset have to change, okay? So we have to know what our enemy is doing, the plastic, what our enemy is. So plastic is actually not so bad, if you understand, okay? Because some of the HDPE, it can be recycled again, okay? LDH is a plastic bag, very hard, but so HDPE, I think, is still okay, can use, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think we only have time for that question, so we'll go into the second part of today's program. Can I cue the second video? We would like to show you some examples of how businesses are using design to profit from it. So we would like to show you a video from one of our partners called our Approved Committee. And this is called Fraction Design, and they will sort of demonstrate how design can enable the next trillion-dollar business.
Hi everyone, I'm Celine from Fraction Design Studio, and I'm the lead designer of Fraction. So as the name suggests, you'll be thinking, why do I have a mathematical kind of look to a design studio? It's because we are inspired by Fraction being a part of a larger whole, and we think that to really solve a problem, we will have to co-create with others who may have different expertise from us. So instead of thinking of it as a client-vendor kind of relationship, we think of it as a symbiotic co-creation and collaboration to achieve our final outcome that both parties, or maybe more than two parties, are happy with. And with that, we have been in the events industry for over 7 years now. We started in 2016. We have done multiple shows that span from, let's say, a weekend, even a night show. We have done it before. And the longest that I know of is about 2 to 3 weeks, where it is a whole design month in that sense. So the longest span in terms of the design that I've created would be a grand total of 3 weeks. So I would say that we live in quite a wasteful industry, and it's unique to the events and pop-up kind of industry. So as a designer who has dealt with a lot of materials and resources, especially when we know where the materials come from, how difficult it is to process it, it's quite a hard pain to us. And myself being the oldest of our Fraction family here, I'm a millennial, and the highest that I have are Gen Zs. So just imagine the kind of education that you have went through as well, and in my time, so I'm sure you all have went through it. We are always taught about how we should treasure our materials, what are the colors, materials, finishes that we can use to elevate a space, and how precious each material is to us. We have also learned earlier in schools that actually every single resource is taken from our Mother Earth, and it is very important to think about how to upcycle things, how to keep things in circularity. So that really doesn't sit well when we are passionate about sustainability on a personal basis, but the things that we do for work is very different. So I would say that it has been quite a struggle. Sometimes we try to incorporate sustainability when our client could afford it. So for instance, I've also designed a show where my client says, hey, can I reuse the materials back in my showroom? So after this show is done, perhaps we can bring it back to my showroom and it won't be gone to waste. But not all clients have that same kind of mindset. So sometimes we still do shows that are pretty wasteful. And that is really just our bread and butter, I would say. So since we come from a team who are personally interested and invested in sustainability, so sometimes we would go out on nature hikes as our team bonding activities. We'll also have Tupperwares in office so that we don't tapao without our Tupperware. And I would think that it's only natural for us to think what's the next step forward in terms of what we do at work. So this is why it gave rise to Bloom series, something that we conceptualized just late last year. As we think about designs in linear economy, it just means that it has a timeline. So you think of it as a line where you have, firstly you design, and then you build it, and then you showcase it, and then you discard it. So it's linear, it stops there. But when you think circular, right? Okay, of course we still start with design, and then followed by, okay, let's build it up, let's tear it down, but can we reuse it again? So that reusing process creates a circular motion. So I would think that although this circular economy sounds like a very big term, but it's actually a very simple thing. It's about how can we extend the lifetime of our event builds. Yeah, so in this case, we look at the shell scheme books that are available in our industry. So shell scheme is really kind of like a modular build system where there are 4 pillars and also a poster in the front of it that will showcase the company name usually. And it also provides a frame structure for your lighting to be mounted. and also walls at the back for your posters and content to be mounted as well. But a shell scheme like this is typically not very attractive to the larger brands because they would prefer something that's custom built. So we are thinking, okay, is there an in-between? Can we redefine what a shell scheme booth is and what are the elements that go into it? So that's how we came up with the Bloom series. There is a shell that can be used as a cave kind of format like the ones you see behind me on my Zoom backdrop. Or if not, you can also use it as a wall format, which is shown in the video animation as well. So that wall would be suitable for spaces that do not have sufficient height or maybe depth, and you just require a backdrop for you to hang information on. So this modular system is very much inspired by modular building blocks that we are familiar to as kids. So if you have played with Lego before, you would know that by using small building blocks, you can actually create almost anything. I mean, there's also Legoland, right, in Malaysia. So it's pretty fun. You can create buildings, you can create anything that you can dream of, you can create furniture as well. So we are thinking of using modular items that can be also taken apart and flat packed for storage. So it's easier for us, especially in Singapore where land is very scarce and we have to think of the carbon footprint of storage and logistics. So the easier it is for us to set up and transport it, the better it is. So we have chosen cardboard as our first medium to work with, and we are also thinking of expanding our material range currently into, let's say the next one that we'll be doing is a kind of PET acoustic felt material, where 70% of the fibers are actually recycled from PET bottles. So we are also thinking of increasing our material supplies in that sense. But the main concept behind this is keeping all these products in circularity so that it can be generic enough to be used at almost any event and to suit the brand that comes on board. So besides purchasing it for your event needs, we're also looking at the furniture rental model where you can also rent these pieces and then return it back to us after the show. So firstly, it is much more affordable for your wallet, and also it will give you the custom built feel without having to pay for the custom booth feel, if you get what I mean. So by doing so, you can choose from our catalog of ready pieces, and also you can customize it. For some of the posters, you can put on your vinyl sticker. What we'll do for the next client is to just paste the next set of vinyl stickers that would help communicate their brand story. So in a way, there won't be any wastage except for that thin piece of vinyl sticker that is meant for your brand. You don't have to discard the whole piece of material away, and it can be reused again and again. So it's great for our environment and also friendly for your wallet. So we've started in Singapore as our test bed in September 2022, just last year. And following which, we have also done a show for Vietnam Furniture Fair. It's called HAWA for short. And we have deployed some pieces of our Bloom furniture there as well. Recently, in September 2023, we did a show in Jakarta, which is also another furniture fair. So because of our history of clients and our portfolio, we have been more involved in the lifestyle and furniture sector. But slowly, we are also increasing our reach to dermatological brands. More recently, we are also going to set up for Mandai Group in Singapore. So I think that's pretty encouraging. You can also go into retail stores who would like to refresh their store without doing very costly carpentry builds, and they only need it for a certain amount of time. So they find it more valuable to them for a rental to be deployed instead. Design is a very powerful tool because it's the genesis of a circular economy. We always start with design as the first step. So I think good advice would be to think of the endpoint, because sometimes we think of the endpoint as the show itself and then hey, that's it, hands off. But we should be thinking what happens after the show. So there's pre-show, during show and after show, right? So if we start with the endpoint as our consideration, I think that's a great step to circularity already. So by just thinking about, okay, how am I going to reuse it? Where am I going to reuse it? I think that would possibly generate some limitations to your design, of course. And also that can help you to be mindful that, okay, this is one of the requirements that I want to have. I will want to have at least some parts, have their lifetime extended. And you will feel like even if it is just one single thing within a show, that will give you a lot of confidence to pursue on, making more percentage of the show being something that can be kept in circularity. The reason why we choose Bloom as a name is also because I find that once you start with something as small as a seed and you have to plant it across a piece of land, then that's where you get very interesting results. Like it could be, let's say, rice, it could be a fruit-based kind of tree. So it all starts with a seed, right? And of course, we will want our idea to bloom as well. So that forms the basis behind why we call it the Bloom series. I find that organically we can grow a lot of things, and it's also interesting that we do not know where it takes us and how far and scalable it can go. So what we are thinking about Bloom is that if we were to productize all of our seeds, then it would be a much more scalable business as compared to design consultancy. So we are focusing on research and development of new products within our catalog so that we can spread these seedlings across the entire world.
So that was a showcase from Ms. Celine Ng from Bloom. Now we'd like to invite Cik Fairuz to do a real-time product showcase from MAEKO. So a little bit of information about MAEKO. MAEKO is a Malaysian company founded, and it's a provider of on-site food waste composting technology that can turn food waste into compost within 12 to 24 hours. It helps hotels, supermarkets, factories, schools, and other F&B businesses save money on waste, haulage cost, and pest control by managing food waste at source. Their reach includes other Southeast Asian countries and the Maldives. So Cik Fairuz has been involved with programs in Malaysia involving the Orang Asli, the Securities Commission, and Bursa Malaysia. So after the demonstration, she'll tell us a little bit about how she engages with stakeholders as well. Interestingly, we've got some food waste from this compound. Yeah.
Hello, good morning everyone. I'm Fairuz from Tari Alam Eko, or the short form is MAEKO. So today the product that I bring up to you is, we call it Mashboard. Okay, actually MAEKO, as what mentioned by our moderator, we are actively in the food waste composting management, and we are doing the food waste composting machine, which means our industry is in manufacturing. Okay, the unit that you see in front of you is MBO2. We call it as MBO2, which means a Mashboard 02, and the 2 is referring to the capacity that it can take, which means 2 kilograms per day for your household. Okay, this machine is really suitable for the household unit. Okay, first I will introduce you. This machine is to convert your food waste become compost within 24 hours. Okay, we talked about just now about the circular economy, ESG, and sort of that, right? Okay, so for us to have a circular economy at our own house and home, so this machine is to convert your food waste, become the compost that can give back to our land and also to nourish your plants at home. So when the plants is to be nourished, and you can grow your own veggies, fruits, and then you can use back for your kitchen. Is it circular or not? Circular, right? Yeah. So there was not too many people know that Malaysia have own technology to do the composting machine. So that's why today I bring you the real machine here. Yeah, we know that Taiwan, Chinese, Korean, Japan have a lot of machine, right, for the composting. But not a lot of people know Malaysia itself have this kind of technology. And MAEKO already in industry for 8 years, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, 8 years. And we already have a lot of clients in terms of corporate company for the big machine. Because before this, we are doing a very big machine. And a lot of companies that really started their circular economy idea, the ESG goals, adopt our machine. Okay, this one is our newly launched with the MBO2 that we want to target for the household, because we know, okay, we already can convince the people in the corporate, but how about the household? So how they want to start their circular economy at home. That's why we are here at the PEREKA. So you guys will be designing things for house and everything, right? So maybe this we can give you some sort of idea how you want to integrate the circular economy at home. Okay? So this machine actually is run by the electricity. Yeah. So it's quite energy-wise because this machine have been set up. We have set some of the parameter for it to stop. Okay, and it also can hibernating. Okay, this machine has a dual function. It's dehydrating and also the composting. Okay, so this machine when you plug in, it already can go inside the dehydrating and you can change to composting. Okay, for you to open this machine, just press one small button and you already can have it open. And we have a child lock function. Okay. And this machine will come with this container for you to put in your food waste. Okay, and we also have a order filtration system here, which means your food waste or the composting process will not cause you any bad or foul smell in your house, which is very convenient for you and for your house. Okay, and then when you want to start the machine, of course you need the food waste, right? Okay, so today I already got some food waste. Okay, I'm glad to say told you that this food waste actually we accumulated from the PEREKA last night event right here. Oh, here. Yeah, yesterday, right? Okay, this is really good. You know, then after they finish eating, also this you can integrate in your idea. You have a company dinner or anything, you can tap out your food waste. People tap out the good waste, but people tap out the food that still can be eaten. But you also can tap out your food waste for the mashboard. Okay, so I'm really thankfully and really appreciate the effort. Okay, and then you can just open the machine. And then you can just put the food waste just like this. No, the plastic bag we cannot put inside. Yeah. Because as I know, this is biodegradable plastic. Okay, biodegradable plastic you cannot put inside. But actually in this plastic term, because just now also we're talking about the plastic, right? We have another type of plastic. It's called biocompostable plastic. Biodegradable still have a microplastic, if I'm not mistaken, that is being mixed together. But the compostable is mostly from the corn starch. Correct? Yeah. I believe here we have a lot of technologies that is very expert, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay? Alright. Then when you close it, then you can start your machine. Then your machine is, if you can see here, actually, this machine is displaying the thing is culture in, which means the culture in is the composting already started. And then you can just left your machine to be compost your food waste within 24 hours. 12 to 24 hours, you already can harvest your compost. Okay, do you want to take a look of how the compost looks like? Yeah, okay. Okay, the compost was like really fine and dry like this, and a brown dark color on the black color that you can use back for your lands and for your plants. And also, I always give this away during any event, but today I just bring some. If you want, you can get it. If anybody of you want the compost, you can get from us. Can Sorry, maybe you can pass around. If doesn't enough, if anybody from you that want it, you can ask for me. I still have some in my bags. I bring it along today. Yeah, also depending, of course, I will give you the brochure as well and the compost. Okay, right, thank you. Later I will give you guys. So after 24 hours, you can just open this machine. And this machine, the display will say that you already 100% complete your composting, and you can just open a bag. And then you can harvest your food waste. So, because I just put the new food waste, of course it's not composted yet, right? Alright. Okay, so this machine is quite energy-wise because we have the monitor here, which means that they can tell you, okay, you already finished your composting. You already finished your dehydrating. Okay, our machine actually is dual function. We have a dehydrating and composting, which means that if you have a really bad food waste that already generating a lot of toxins that you don't like it and it can harm, okay, you can put first. Okay, you can on the dehydrating process that we have here. And then when you on the dehydrating process for our machine, of course, dehydrating require a really high temperature, about 150 degrees Celsius. And also, we have a UV light inside that can kill all of the bad microbes and toxins. Okay, and then after that you can put we have the enzyme for you to do the composting. Okay, for the composting, you still need enzyme for composting, because without enzyme or microbes, your composting will not happen, because this is like an agent or something that we eat your food waste and turn your food waste become a compost. Okay, then after you dehydrating, and you can put the enzyme inside, and you can on the composting process, and you will have your compost within 12 to 24 hours. Okay, so that's all from my brief demonstration. So do you have any question? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, please.
So I must say I'm very sorry, but your machine makes me very sad.
Yeah.
Very, very sad, because I've been doing compost not in Malaysia. I used to live in China, and I had a garden. And you know, composting, do you need energy to do composting? Do you need a machine? You can have a hole in a garden, or you can have just a jar. And compost, if you have worms, they are what you need to make compost. And it breaks my heart. I'm in Malaysia. I try to segregate my trash and put the vegetable waste aside. But the problem is not to do compost. What do you do with compost? So what do you do with it? How do I get rid of my compost? This is my pain point. I would love to know. So I was living in TTDI before. There are some edible gardens, and there are some people who have a place to put the compost. I'm working, so I don't want, and I don't have a car. I don't want to put my compost there. I don't want a machine. Can you please help me and come to my home, or I pay you? You come to my home, I give you my compost, and please use it somewhere, in a garden somewhere. And I would love to feed some worms. And yeah, and I mean, it's wonderful to do compost. And yes, maybe I will buy your machine. But how can I use my compost to do good things? And how to make a business, and to make money, and to, I don't know, feed some insect and do some protein from insect? Or this is my pain point.
Yeah, I see. So your problem is with the compost. You already have a pile up of compost, and you don't know where to channel it.
Nothing. I end up putting it in the normal trash, because there is no way to get rid of it.
Oh, maybe
and I'm crying. And please help me.
Actually, the compost really, really good things, right? We call it black gold. Okay, maybe after this I can have your contact, so we can talk about this.
Yes.
Because actually, MAEKO also, we are really active in community. That we also sometimes go to Orang Asli, and we go to the communities, and we give away the compost to them. Yeah, we can talk about this, because we also know some of the people that run the urban farming that can use your compost. Yeah, okay.
Sorry, we didn't get your name. Caroline, good. You brought in a very important point there. Energy. Energy to achieve what we want to achieve in this spirit of circularity and so on, right? Look, this is also exactly where I come from as well, because my business is not plastic. I got into plastic because my friend wanted to buy plastic making machines. All right, my actual business is in developing new technologies that can collect data for your use. So I also see the point that as much as we want to help this spirit of circularity and traceability and so on, we are ourselves contributing to the problem, because every device today, you have lithium battery or battery power from the wall, which consume energy to collect the data, and we're going to use the data. So that is itself a problem. So I have started another chain of activity to extract lead from old batteries. Okay? So this is what I told all my friends now. I want to start extraction of lead from discarded battery. That means you already have the lead and going to be thrown in landfills. And instead of throwing landfills, I would take the lead out and recycle the lead to develop energy to do this. How about that? Then we don't use the energy from whatever, right? So I will be in touch with you, and we will work on another energy source to do this. Now, this is a brilliant idea because in our current lifestyle, we stay in the big flats and all that. We are not privileged to have a piece of land where we can dig and store. I mean, when I stay in my old little town in Johor, we have a lot of land. We can do what you say. But right now, we are staying in the city. We are all city dwellers. We don't have the luxury of land. So this is a brilliant idea for a normal household, but just to solve the energy problem, right? So we work on the energy collectively, all right? Fair enough?
And that contributes to the circular
Circularity,
process.
that's right.
Also for the compost, of course, we have a lot of questions for people that they live in condo and apartments. Actually, MAEKO also still trying to develop a system that we can collect back the compost from you, and at the same time, we can collect the data actually. So how much the food waste from each household and how much the compost that generated from each household. And I think this data actually is very good to, like you say, like to calculate how much the carbon footprint is being reduced. And also I want to emphasize here why we call this a circular economy. You can reduce the carbon footprint in terms of the transportation of your food waste to the landfill, and of course you can divert your food waste from going to the landfill, which means it's very good for our environment, which means we help to reduce the things that going to the landfill, and we help to nourish our plant as well.
Sorry, I had a question for Cik Fairuz. There's a follow-on to where you can distribute the compost after that, because that's element of circularity, and also I believe that I think MAEKO does work with like communities, like Orang Asli communities. If you're talking about, I know about an initiative that is working with low-cost flats that are doing urban farming. So those are areas that you can actually send your waste to, but it's not waste, it's actually compost, is usable waste. Yeah, so are you working with communities in that sense?
Okay, because we have a lot of customer and clients, right? And then, like Orang Asli, last time, I think the earlier of this year, I go to Orang Asli Pulau Keri, and actually, MAEKO just not selling the machines. Okay, we also taught them how to do the normal composting like you do. Yeah, it's a really good initiative actually. And they asked us, okay, if they want to do this, and they have a lot of land that they want to redevelop to have a planting there. And then they do ask me, can they have more of the compost? So we can collaborate and deal with them, that we can help you to channel with the farmer. Also we collaborate with the farmer at the Rawang as well. That means the compost actually can be channeled to the farmer that really need the compost, as if they want to do the compost, there was a lot of it, so they cannot do by themselves. Of course, they need our help to give them the compost.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Paul, you had something to say about. Oh, yep, question.
I was just
Yeah.
Testing. That's okay. We have the technology. I'm old, but I'm not dead, right? I can still learn. No. There's a reason for this. You need a stage prop, right? Yes. So I'm always thinking like this. I mean, everybody's now moving across from animal-based protein to other forms of protein. Yes. So I'm wondering, why can't we? I mean, you'd put the beetroot into a grinder, grind it up, and you'd make a patty from it. Well, why can't we take the composted food waste, then add a couple of insects and a few other things, and package it together, and we have a new hamburger, right? An insect burger, yeah? Well, but why not, right? The key is we think it's awful until we really know what's inside it, but you don't know what's inside, the meats that you're eating, to be quite honest. So at least it's under your control. But to move further, the idea Foo and I were just looking at, and just thinking what you said, Walter, about the HPD, why can't we? Because you've got, we use this or we use this. So you have the technologies with different enzymes. Why can't we have Mark III of this, where we put plastics into it, or we put papers into it, put something else into it that's producing that, yes? Because I once gave a speech on how do you make a spanner, a wrench, in space. Do you know how you do that? Well, you have a piece of plastic up there and you send the instruction set up there and a 3D printer prints it, yes? So here, the reason I picked this up is because today we have about 50 guests. But what happens if we had 100 guests? Oh my goodness, what do we do? Quick, we need more. No, the 3D printer is here and we print up a whole bunch of them. When we're finished, please put them in here. We put them back into the machine. It melts them down and we're ready to reuse them again. All of these things are absolutely available today. Yeah, all of them are available today, yes? So I was just asking about the price of this product, yeah? So I've lived in China for more than 10 years and the price of this would be $20, okay, to manufacture. At $20, if we sold it for $21 and covered the cost, everybody would do it. But we're all commercial people and we'll sell it for, it looks a bit like, Dyson product. If we put the Dyson name on it, we'd probably get, I reckon, $2,500, right? You get my meaning, right? And what's its value? People will pay that, right? So do you see the challenges that we have? The last point I wanted to make about this one here, which comes back to His Excellency's question, is how do we know where it came from? This is track and traceability, and who did what with it. So I'm trying to be environmental. I consumed it. I'm going to put it in the right bucket here, and it says, recycled. I put it in. Along comes the man. He picks it up and he puts them all into the same container and he dumps it in a landfill, probably. Yes? Or he does give it to somebody else who may sift and sort it, and then maybe. But we have the technology, Foo and I are working on, where we can use a connectivity-based thing called IoT, narrowband IoT, and in the bottom of this thing here, we could put a very inexpensive, a little bit of, not an FC, but something different, more advanced than that, because we want to put something in the bottom of this so we know who bought in 20 million of these into the country or manufactured them, distributed them, somebody consumed it, somebody did the right thing or the wrong thing, put it in the right place, or the company that's responsible for recycling it did the right thing or the wrong thing. We have the ability to do that. And the reason I mention that is because, as you mentioned, it was actually Lord Kelvin from the turn of the last century who said if you can't get the data, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it, yes? But you've got to collect the data. And the key to that, unfortunately, is, I'll say unfortunately because I'm in the telecom business, we've got to connect all this stuff. So we've got to have, the 2, 3, 4, now the 5G based and the IoT based coverage to be able to make these things happen. But it is happening and it is possible and practical to do it. And a lot of the telecom companies are trying to do that. So that'll be a platform that will enable all these great technologies to come in and manage it. I didn't mean in disrespect by saying it's $20, but the cost to manufacture this in terms of the raw materials is quite negligible, right? It's like a car. It doesn't really cost, $500,000 for a Lamborghini. Not really, right? Anyhow.
Hello. Yeah, I just had a question about whether you've done this. I know you've done this at the scale of like an enterprise, at the scale of a home, but whether you've done this at like the scale of a neighborhood, right? Say like you have a collective of small businesses who want to join together and compost their waste. Like, have you done something at that scale yet?
Okay, for that question, it's a very good question. Actually, MAEKO, we are just a manufacturer company, but we do have a customer, of course, DBKL, they were Moderator Kuala Lumpur. Actually, they ran the machine. They ran 2 of our machine before. One they give to the Pasar TTDI, yeah, and then another one is at the community place, the Pusat Perumahan PPR Beringin, which means at the Kepong. Okay, I really love to tell people the story about this PPR Beringin. Okay, UBKL ran them one of the machine, which means more big capacity, which means can a lot in one day about 60 liters of the food waste. And they have a really good system, which means they collect the food waste. They have an area, which means the residents can put their food waste there. And then when the resident give away their food waste, they will give back them 20% of the compost from the weight of the food waste that they give. Because our machine actually can generate 20% of the compost from the for the weight of the food waste that you put inside. So they have this kind of system, which means that when the resident put their food waste, give their food waste to them for the management to do the compost. So they will give them back about 20% of the compost weight from the weight of their food waste. So we do have this kind of system and the community that collect the food waste and turn into the compost. And this PPR is also have their own farm inside their residential area, which means they have a strong community that really do distinct works. They use the machine to compost the food waste that they already collected for the resident, and then the compost that the balance they use back for the farm at the one of the area in the resident area. And I really love to go there because I can see that a lot of veggies that are really fresh. Then they always welcome us to go there to collect some of the veggies there. And also they show me they also managed to do a system which means the composting at home, which means all they give some of the residents that really interested in this composting. They have like a VC Europhonic planting, you know. Yeah, they put at home, then they put the compost inside, and then their veggie is really, really fresh, and they doesn't have to buy the veggie. They just plug the veggie in their house and use back for their cookings. Yeah, like a vertical farm. Is that answering your question?
I think in the interest of time, is there any more questions from the floor? We'll let our panel have a chance to interact with all of you. Aziad? Zidan?
Okay, hello. I would like to ask, does certification is really needed when you make your product? Because nowadays there are a lot of people that say that their product is eco product, their product is sustainable product, but who the one that verify their product is green, sustainable or eco product? So does certification is really needed for this economy?
This is the biggest challenge. Yes, it's a bit like a company will claim that they are ISO 9000 certified for quality. So before nobody was certified, and now everybody slowly does this. The same in cybersecurity for the 27000 series. If you want to demonstrate, so what you're trying to do is you're trying to demonstrate to your customers, if you're a designer or a manufacturer or part of this chain of manufacturing, that you are complying with something. So you need two fundamental companies to do this. You'll need a certifying body. So in Malaysia you have CIRIM. CIRIM is doing certification of electronic and other types of goods, but you need somebody else who can do the testing of it. Sometimes it's the same company, maybe a Fraunhofer or a BSI, so British Standards Institute, these sorts of companies to do that. Here in Malaysia you have certifying bodies, but you need the right sort of tools. Otherwise you have a checklist. You can tick all the tools, the checklist, and you're saying, what do you do? Well, I buy it from this company. Okay, that's a check. I have this process in my company. That's a check, like you were saying, right? The Green Factory. But if you have a tool where everything can measure and connect to existing things inside your property or inside your facility, those things you can measure very precisely and you can give a score. Okay? But the circularity component, there's so many parts to it, the probability that you're going to get more erroneous answers is probably quite high. But that's what the EU is trying to fix. The EU is trying to make it so that it's systematic and rigorous. Yes? And then certifying companies who are bona fide follow the process and do things the right way, because otherwise, just like an ESG score, it becomes almost meaningless, quite frankly. The reason I'm passionate about this, I do want to live forever, right? I really do. And there are ways, if you follow Dr. David Sinclair, I'm sure you've all heard of him, right? There are many things you can do. And if you pay attention to those things, then you can certainly live a lot longer and better. So the sort of the 40 years I've had in industry and other things, I want to apply that to circularity, because I see all the challenges in manufacturing. I see all the challenges in information, misinformation, disinformation. Just in the last 5 years, the US versus China thing, right? If you knew what was underneath all this, you would be disgusted. You would be disgusted. And you can see, okay, you have challenges with fighting conflicts in certain parts of the world. It would be nice to know whether the United Nations is going to call other countries to task over human rights. It would be very interesting to see, given that some of these are also backed by other administrations, if you understand my meaning. So I'm coming down to data, yeah? And there are ways to do it. And my job, what I'm planning to do, is I'm trying to advocate that it's possible to do this rigorously, accurately, to make a difference. Not to try and make the money. Yes, money will flow, But if you can understand that we can make a difference, we will improve everything and more money will be saved. That's where the real money is, right? And I see it especially in developing economies, whether it's throughout Africa or Latin America. Everybody says, you know, they don't have this old mentality and legacy. How do I leapfrog? How do I do it a different way? Do I have to use that material? Do I have to do it this way? Yes? And I think that's what really captivates me and why I choose to come here to do this event. Okay, this is not 8,000 industry executives. That's not important. This is where we make the change. Those industry executives after this meeting are going to go back and do their emails and have their other meetings and nothing will happen. All right? But I can tell you, so we've got, I'll give you another example. If we can measure something, let's suppose your company has a circularity score of 4 and it needs minimum to be 5. Oh my God, what am I going to do next? Isn't that the next question? Am I going to be able to do business? I'm not certified. It's like, you know, my thing's not, I can't sell it. What do I do? I have a concept where I'm going to allow you to click and it'll take you to all the carbon offset companies. And depending upon the industry, and so if you're in furniture or if you're in timber or plastics, whatever you happen to be in, it will guide you into a range of companies that you can now trade carbon emissions with. All right? It's not a complicated thing to do. We won't make any money from it, but the company who's using it will be able to benefit. The next one, there's a couple of good products here from the company Fraction or whatever, and yours. I'm going to put them, with your permission, into a company called Circ for Bio. Circ for Bio. So this is like an Amazon platform that we have developed, and we're putting companies that are low emissions, sustainable, that have credibility. So if you have a product, we're going to put it in there. I'm not going to make any money from it. It's a trading platform. So again, oh, I need a cup. Gee, my goodness, the components I'm using, I can't achieve the circularity or sustainability score that I want. I need a different type of cup because in the scoring system, it seems my cup is not the right product. Yeah? Oh, click over here. Oh, here's one that comes from this company and I can buy that. And now you've got access to all these great ideas and products in a platform that can measurably move you towards a better sustainable or circularity index. So it's helping you to understand, I didn't achieve it. Why didn't I achieve it? What could I do next in order to be able to do that? And this is a different way of educating everybody in what's important about circularity.
To add on to Paul's, what Paul has said, he said about data. Certification, of course, you know why you need now, all right? Now, it's how you do it. It's a big headache. It's just like I've been approached by many halal hub people to say, how do we certify halal products, and then the certificate itself, how do you manage a certificate that is genuine, right? This whole process is the same challenge you face here, okay? So we are actually working on developing all this to improve the integrity of data, to then manage the integrity of the certificate as well when you go out with the product or with the supplier to the buyers. So this is another data structure that we need to work on. However, most of these require sensors, right? That use lithium battery. My God, if the whatever the product side that kill, the battery will kill the environment as well, right? So there are many aspects of this. We have to work with different research groups to solve this properly. So I believe we are already on track to be able to achieve that probably by next year. And then we will have a different way of doing data collections and then manage data to then manage the certificate. Of course, just about every project I see, there will be a statement of blockchain to manage certificate. Again, blockchain is another kind of problem. Okay, I will talk about it later. All right.
And I think we've come to the end of our session. Any last thoughts from our panelists? Let's just go around the panel.
Your circular economy start now.
For me, is what I've been always talking this past few years. We now already live in an era where we have already enough knowledge to make money and at the same time contribute to making the world better. And one of the things that are very important in terms of solving our climate change and climate issues are designers. So you guys here are also part of the solution. If you guys don't be part of the solution, then you'll be part of the problem.
Circularity and traceability is no longer a choice. It's a must-have now.
I think I've said enough.
Okay, as a designer, I always encourage you to give the choices to your future clients that they can have a whole system of circular economy in their own buildings.
Thank you so much. Before we leave, we'll have just some final words from our chairperson. Can we play the third video? And thank you to the panelists. Just before we end with the video, because I'm sure people will start leaving.
So I hope you had a very fruitful discussion from today's forum. Once again, thank you very much to PEREKA and Kuala Lumpur Design Festival for hosting us from Circular Business Association. Before we leave, I would just like to really share with you all some developments that's been happening in the association so that we can continue supporting talents and businesses in their journey towards the circular economy, towards solving the climate crisis and sustainability challenges. Now, the first thing that I'd like to share with you all is that the association has just recently launched our ESG Ready certification program. What it's basically meant to do is create a label that can make it easier for end clients to identify which suppliers and vendors are actually ready to engage in conversation about ESG, and also how that would relate back to the provisions of services that and products that they can supply. So they're split into 5 different layers. You can find out more on our website at www.circularbusinessassociation.org. There's a tab that at the top of our webpage that says ESG Ready Certification. At the very basis, we want to create a pool of suppliers and vendors who are familiar with the concepts and understand those buzzwords that's flying all around in this era, so that we can drive more real action in climate and actually bring businesses to those companies who are ready to engage on a more honest and authentic level. The second product that I would like to share with you all that's coming from the association is what we call the Circular Transitions Program, because we realize even though we may have given people the skills to engage in conversation about ESG, to spot greenwashing in the work that they do, or even relate their products and services to their clients' sustainability priorities and needs, we realize that all of these skills wouldn't be put into action if companies and talents don't have the right mindset to actually implement them. And this is where the circular economy framework is a very powerful framework, because it really reconciles this whole notion about needing to care for the environment as well as the rest of sustainability issues, but also the need to make a living. So when we go into this Circular Transitions Program, what we're trying to help you overcome is this conflict that you may have in terms of leaning into your passion and purpose, as well as leaning into the profitability, which is very important for businesses to survive. Secondly, we also would cover this whole notion of what it means to be playing at an ecosystem level instead of be playing as a solo player in this market. The Circular Business Association is an ecosystem builder, because we truly believe that we can leverage on each other's resources and connections as well as expertise to solve the climate crisis much faster. So with that, I would highly encourage you to visit our website, www.circularbusinessassociation.org. Please look out for the ESG Ready Certification Program, and also look out for our Circular Transitions Program, because we are making a very special bundle offer that if you sign on to one of these products, you will be able to receive a 55% discount on the price of it. On top of that, if you do find that there are other value chain partners that you're working with who would benefit from this, and you pull together a bulk buy of 5 or more seats, you would also be able to access our bulk buy discount. So with that, thank you very much for joining us in today's forum. I am very happy to be part of this exercise with PEREKA as well as the Kuala Lumpur Design Festival. My name is Lee Jin Chin and I am the chairperson of Circular Business Association. I hope to catch you in one of our programs. See you next time. Bye.
And with that, I would like to thank our audience for staying throughout the discussion and for inspiring us to all do better and to get into the circular economy ecosystem. I'd like to invite the panelists to stay on to get some souvenirs from PEREKA, I believe, and also for a short photo taking session.
So we are very honored for all of you to come here and join our session. So I would like to invite Mr. President Zafri Zakaria American to give some gifts to our speaker. Okay, so we start with Mr. Pao.
Actually, this is a notebook that made from a recycled glove, medical glove. Yep.
Okay, next, Mr. Foo. Okay, next, Mr. Harith. Next is Mr. Walter. Next is Miss Fairuzzatulaini. And next Miss Shakila Rajendra. Alright, thank you. That's all for the first session. After this, we have another session. So we'd like to invite all the speakers for a group photo.